Welcome here on Hacktoberfest event in 2020. Hopefully this will be 1 month of light during this Corona time. Today, we will have two first presentations about Hacktoberfest event itself and KiwiCom. After that, guys will tell you about projects, 5 different projects we have, and then there might be Q&A session in the end. I want to start with answering what Hacktoberfest is. This is global open source contribution event with the simple, or it used to be simple rule that you open 4 pull requests and get a free t-shirt. The event is open for everyone, so there are no limitations. Anyone can join. The only important rule that there should not be any spam. After 2 fake pull requests, their author is banned. Actually, this year there is a problem with these spammy requests because one guy showed on the internet video how it's very easy to open pull requests with the simple changes, and the wave of these spammy pull requests came. So make sure you do really something necessary and you don't spam. The very important thing in Hacktoberfest is open source, and I want to tell you what is it. Open source is about community. It has a very simple rule. The more people work on something, the better software is. We have global community from whole world of developers, and everyone has his own knowledge, experience, and anyone basically could improve something by his touch. Open source is about full control and transparency. You may check the code and change anything according to any new standards or requirements. It allows to train people and help them to get their knowledge from other developers, from better written code, and get feedback on what they write. And because there are a lot of different contributors on a lot of projects, this software becomes more stable and with better security, because we have in this community specialists from all the areas. Very common question about open source, that is it free of charge or what? The thingy is that free software doesn't mean it's like free beer. The word free there is about freedom, not about money. And the freedom to run or copy or distribute this software, to study, change, and use basically whatever you want it to use, and adjust to all your needs. Another question I want to answer, why? Why to contribute? Actually, anyone can find different answers for himself, but I will provide you just a few examples, and hopefully during these months, you will find another answers for this question. You may have fun with interesting projects, improve your skills, or find mentors who will learn you how to get better. And actually, open source is really good proof for your career, because when you come to some company, you may show them your profile on GitHub, show the code you write, how you communicate. It's usually a very good sign. I want to answer how to submit a contribution. There are few rules which you need to follow in order to have it effective. So first of all, you should communicate effectively. When you open some pull request and provide changes to the repository, you take time, not only yours, but you also take time of other people. They may be needed to check your code, your description, and as much information it has, as it easier for everybody. So before working on something, just do some homework beforehand. You should keep your request short and direct, provide context, and keep your communication public. So everyone who has similar questions to yours may find the answer there. And everyone understands that questions are totally fine thing. Usually people are patient, so you may ask questions, just make sure that beforehand you really did homework, checked everything, and the question makes sense. And it's not about Googling something or getting the answer very fast. So before you open any issue or pull request, you should take also some time to gather the context and check the documentation of the project, check contributing guidelines. Usually it's written either in documentation or there is separate file called contribution. There people might include different rules like pull requests, templates, descriptions, whatever. For example, in many repositories, there is practice that if you do some first change to the repository, you may add your name to authors file if you wish, or some other things where it's written how to run tests or some extra actions which are necessary before pushing the pull request. When you open some pull request, make sure that you open the issue and you gave other people information that you started working on this issue. So no one will duplicate your work, and in the end, it will not end with like too much effort from other people and disappointments. So when you started to work on something, make sure you wrote in the issue that you are on it. Also, it's a good practice when you start working on some issue to open pull request. You may add their VIP tag, which is work in progress. So you will let other people know that there is pull request, you're working on it, you may push your work there and immediately get the feedback from other people during your work, what you can improve. And in this pull request, you also can ask the questions if you are struggling with something. There are multiple, let's say, happy ends or not happy ends with your pull requests. You may challenge that you don't get a response from the author. You should be patient. The maintainer or other community people need some time to check your pull requests. You don't need to expect it becomes immediately. So you may tag the person if you don't have the response, but still remember that your communication should be public and open, which is a very important role for the open source, the transparency and open public communication. If you're not, so another scenario is that you are requested to provide changes to a pull request. It may happen, it's not the bad sign. It means just something might be improved or adjusted according to the standards of the repository or of the vision of community. I would value it as positive sign because you may learn something or do something better. After you will provide changes, I believe your request will be accepted in the end. It may happen that your contribution doesn't get accepted, and if you're not sure why it was not accepted, you are really reasonable to ask the maintainer for the feedback and clarification. But you should really respect their decision and not argue with the community and the maintainers or get hostile. And the most positive outcome, which we all want to have, is that your contribution gets accepted. I wish you all to have your all pull requests being accepted. And few important notes, things you should make sure you made before you started working on Hacktoberfest. First of all, sign up at the site so you can get the free t-shirt from Hacktoberfest. So your pull requests will be counted. Another important thingy that you should join our Discord where there are our Kiwi mentors of the projects, which will present you this project later. In the Discord, there are mentors to help you, to answer your questions. So join Discord, don't forget, please. And then follow the rule, open for pull requests. With the Hacktoberfest topic, you will get free t-shirt from Hacktoberfest, and 3 most active people will get a code Kiwi.com hoodie. Thank you for your attention. I will give my works to Kubo.
All right. Vova told you about Hacktoberfest, and I'm here to tell you a little bit more about Kiwi. And the reason why I'm talking about Kiwi on this event is because the majority of, well, if not all, well, actually all except one person is from Kiwi and one person is ex-Kiwi. So this is pretty much, we have a lot of people contributing to open source, and I'm just going to tell you where those people are coming from and what they are doing except contributing to Kiwi, to open source. Who am I? I'm Jacob. Very quick about me. I'm in Kiwi for 4 years, and I'm an engineering manager over here. My background is in Python, but right now as an engineering manager, I'm taking care of Python, JavaScript, and mobile Steam. And if you have any questions, which obviously you're not gonna have, it's because this is recorded, but you can feel free to shoot me a question or either on email or to any of our social network. I'm going to tell you today about why Kiwi exists, and it has to start with one thing, and it's what's wrong with travel. That's going to get us a little bit closer why Kiwi exists. So what's wrong with travel? It's that, let's start with this. The offer is quite complicated. When you want to get from this example from Paris to Bogota, you have quite a lot of options. It's not easy to compare them, and you can always travel on different variety of flights. Like in this example, you can take three flights, you can take 2 flights, you can take 1 flight, and it's not just you can see it over here visually, but you have to compare it, and this is really hard. So the complex is quite off. The offer is quite complex, and if you don't want to go to Bogota, but you want to go to Berlin, you can have a different types of transport that you can use. It's a flight, it's a bus, it's a train. So how are we going to find out which is the best? So there is multiple model, and the solution to these problems has to consider this. And even what I said, everything over there is a manual work. It has to be done manually because there is like really hard to actually do it automatically. So for that case, there's got to be a better way, and I'm pretty sure because this is the people joining open source and those working in Python know this guy and know his saying that there must be a better way. In that case, it's Kiwi, and that's what Kiwi do. We are solving all those problems that I mentioned. We are inventor and a pioneer of interlining, so we can connect any flights and show it to the customer in a way that it's giving this most value. What it means, it can be the fastest, the cheapest, the best route. It's a multimodal virtual interlining, and it's showing multiple types of transportation from flights to train and bus. And we're doing it since 2012. Like the way we operate or what we do as our mission is something we call virtual global security. On top of what I mentioned as a solution for the problems of today's travel, is that we also provide some things on top of it. One of the very unique things that we have is a guarantee. So anytime we connect to things, we put a guarantee on top of it. Obviously, you can right now in these times may find different changes in this product, but well, Corona changed a lot, and we have to a little bit adjust. Some few data, how Kiwi is big and what we do in terms of numbers. pre-Corona times, we sold more than 40,000 seats per day, which is quite a lot. There are 100 million searches every day, and in those searches, we have 800 plus carriers. That includes other all model of transport from buses, trains, and flights. There are more than 10 million people who do those searches, and that's really, really big. Some of our highlight features that we do, and I'll select a few of, I will pinpoint a few of those that are quite interesting, is the Nomad. You can try it right now when you go on a search, and your question is, oh, hey, I have 3 interested places around the Rio. What's the cheapest way how you can actually connect me through the 3 places and get me to all 3 places? And that's what Nomad is going to get you a response for. And the other one I'm going to pinpoint is this Airside baggage transfer. It's really unique. Not many companies around the world are doing that. What it does is that as a customer, you don't have to do your baggage transfer at the airport when you are changing airlines, which you obviously have to do right now. This can be done by Kiwi and by airport, and it's very, very easy and unique. The technologies we're using, it has to be mentioned, and not because it has to be, but because we are in the right spot where the open source contribution or contributors are. Majority of the things are open source. Like, let's start with Python and Go. This is like the core or where we started, and those 2 technologies are used in automation. We have some custom built things, mostly in computation and in customer CRM. In the computation is the heavy build on C++, and that's where the algorithm for computing the most optimal connection between 2 points on Earth is based. From perspective of the people, our presence is global. Right now I'm streaming from Prague, and with me is Jona over here. Guys are located in Prague, in Bratislava, Brno, where the headquarters is. But on top of it, we have also several vendor sites around Europe, especially in Zagreb and Split. And one of our also really interesting office is in Barcelona. Those are the people of Kiwi. We have 37 employees over here in Prague, and well, this is very specific to Prague because I'm working from Prague, and we have 7 nationalities over here, and we have quite diversity in general in Kiwi, and that's quite unique. Well, let's be honest, engineering is not that big, but we hopefully get there one day. Average age is 28, and I'm really always happy when I can work with all those people and growing their experience in Kiwi every day. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure I get under 7 minutes to not bore you or don't steal too much time from other speakers. And I'm gonna give it to the next speaker.
So let me just share the screen, and let's start with the first project that is part of the Hacktoberfest 2020. It's our design system called Orbit, and let me briefly introduce what design system is, how we do it actually at kiwi.com, and how can you contribute to it. So just briefly, let me introduce myself. I'm Luděk Vepřek. I work at kiwi.com as engineering lead. I lead the Orbit team that is behind our design system. We are part of our software platform, as Alex will be talking later. And I've got 7+ years of experience with design and front-end. To introduce me Orbit design system, let's start with some problem statement, and let's start with atomic problem that we had in the past. And just imagine that in the past, over several years, we had the button component. We had to develop it from the bottom every single time, and it was quite bottleneck for us. Because we developed it probably 50 times, it cost us a lot of money and also time. There were several inconsistencies between every single part of our product, and it was very hard to actually change it. Therefore, we were seeking for some possible solution for this. And more than 2 years ago, we decided that it should be great to introduce our own design system that we call Orbit, and to use it internally and also externally by other contributors or consumers that are interested in travel-related design system. But let's first look at a bit on what is design system, and it's actually the single source of truth which groups all the elements that will allow the teams to design, realize, and also develop the final product. That means that we can use it in the design, development, and also in the other departments or in different roles in the company. So it's some common language for us, some common ground, and it means that every designer, product manager, or software engineer will call some specific visual element the same name, for instance, button, but this applies also for different types or variants. So for instance, our primary button is called primary every single time. And because we started with actually providing some UI kit in the sketch, we also wanted to have it available for our front-end developers. So we introduced our NPM package that is called kiwi.com/orbit components. And 2 years ago, we have chosen to go with React and also Style components. And until now, and also I would say for the future, we will use these two frameworks to actually develop our design system components. Also, besides the basic requirement to have some design system components, we have requirement to have this system themable. That means that our B2B partners can use it, and also we are looking for some opportunity in the future to change the visual identity or our visual look from one single place very easily and hopefully in a very short period of time. For this requirement, we also have some usage of theming context in our components together with design tokens, which you will definitely see if you will want to contribute to Orbit design system. Just a bit about design tokens, so you will know what are they. They are atomic pieces that store some visual design attributes, mainly maintained by designers, from colors to spacings and other visual attributes. In the end, it means that every component in our design system uses some common tokens or some component-specific design tokens. So when we're gonna look at this example, it's mainly about some background and foreground colors and tokens related to font itself in the end. And in the end, this offers us some quick possibility how to create easily and quick some different visual styles that can be used for our partners or for our needs. So that was about Orbit design system in some brief way. And let's look on on contributions do we actually what we actually seek currently. We've got prepared some issues on GitHub that are labeled with the Hacktoberfest label, so feel free to take them. Please, with some priority, please use these issues, because there are some more complex that would be very hard to actually do. So feel free to use this. Besides prepared issues, we also seek for some improvements to our monorepo structure and automation processes, means GitHub Actions, Lerna, and stuff like this. Also, if you're gonna notice some general bugs of our components, feel free to create pull requests for that directly, and we're gonna label it with the Hacktoberfest accepted label. And last but not least, we would like to also look on the performance and code size refactors that are pretty handy all the time. Also, what you're gonna notice is that we have, I would say, majority of our documentation stored on GitHub as Markdown files. So if you're gonna notice some inconsistencies or any other issues, feel free to fix them. They will be more than appreciated. And if Orbit is interesting for you, feel free to open our monorepo on github.com/kiwicom/orbit, or as the main touch point, you can use orbit.kiwi, where you can find all the documentation for our open source design system. And in the end, if there will be any issues or you will have to ask for some help, feel free to ping us, use ping Orbit on GitHub in the issue or pull request, or use Discord. You can ping me here as Vapor or in the Orbit channel. That's it. Thanks for your attention. And now let's present the second project.
So, hi everyone. This is gonna be a short introduction about the Zoo, one of our projects that is also accepting contributions during Hacktoberfest. And I'm just going to give a brief overview and maybe have some small explanations about the main motivation about this project. Okay, so first of all, just short introduction. I'm Alex, leading the software platform part of Kiwi. Our focus is mainly to try to improve our developer experience as much as possible. I've been working on the platform team since I joined the company almost 3 years ago. And if anyone needs to find me, I go usually by Alex Veer. So what is all this about? The first thing I will be discussing is the concept. Why did we need this tool, and how are we solving the issues with it? The second part is some really small explanation about the implementation details. This mainly carries value for letting you know how easy it would be to contribute to the code base. And the last part is future plans, mainly trying to focus on what are the biggest projects we are going to work on. So I will start by giving just some numbers. Right now in our GitLab, we have around 2,400 repositories. That corresponds to roughly 400 microservices. And we have around 350 developers working together. All these numbers are just meant to explain that we need a way to keep track of everything. The sheer amount of resources we have to manage makes it really hard to be done manually. So what is exactly the problem we are trying to solve? First thing is that in a microservice architecture, services depend on other services. And unless there is some place where to check those interactions, it's impossible to trace down how services are interacting with each other. Teams need to cooperate together in the way that services that are built on top of other services need to have easy access to documentation, to details about the services, and clear communication paths. And nobody can know everything. In the end, trying to hold all this information mentally, it's just not going to work for this amount of projects. So figuring all this stuff is basically a waste of time, and we are trying to make it as simple as possible. This is a small example message from one of our ex-colleagues that was exactly asking for what I'm trying to justify here. He wanted to know what is the information about this API, and he was wondering if he could get it without asking more than one person. So what have we made to solve this? We have built essentially a microservice architecture. This was the main purpose of the platform, and this has grown over time to not only catalog microservices, but also all the resources like libraries, CI templates, and other resources that we use. We also built the small, lightweight static code auditing on top of it, not to replace or compete with standard solutions like SonarQube or I don't know, much bigger and performance solutions, but basically to allow us to make sure that things are not happening at scale. It's mainly for checking specific constraints on our own code, and it's mainly just custom things that we want to check on all our code base. And we also integrated with third-party services, again, just to basically bring usefulness as fast as possible. And funny thing, we call it the zoo. So what does this solve? The first thing is discovery. Unless you know everything, there will be always a time when you need to find things. Right now, there is a single place where people can check for what all the services, and in this case, Zoo provides that functionality. So if you want to discover any specific information about services, it's as simple as visiting the platform. Also targeting. For example, we usually work trying to provide tooling to other teams, and for us, it's really important to know, for example, what specific version of what library are we using everywhere, so we can target specific fixes or patches for those versions. And the final one is inspection. When you need to dig deeper, it's much better to have a single point where everything can start than having to figure out all the moving pieces by yourself. And in the end, the main purpose of this is to save us a noticeable amount of time. So just to briefly explain what is the auditing part, which is probably the most interesting. It's just about static code checks, checking configuration files, like configurations for PyLint, for ESLint, for whatever. Small security checks. We mainly run open source tools, and we gather the results from them. And it's pretty much modular. All this stuff, it's pretty much tailored for us, and it doesn't really bring that much value outside of our company, because again, for generic solutions, there are already much better solutions than ours, but at least it lets us make sure that specific things on configurations or specific security issues are not happening in our code base. How does this work? We literally scrape every single repository of our code base. We scan the dependencies the code has, and we run any static check we wrote and save the results so we can check in and inspect and gather metrics afterwards. How do we use that information? First of all, open issues. Having all this information and not letting people act on it doesn't really bring that much value. So we can easily open issues on repositories when we find about something. We can scan dependency usage. Again, it's valuable information that lets us be more accurate in the work we are doing. So we definitely need this. And we also try to rate the services in order to bring a bit of gamification to software development when developers are trying to basically get their service as shiny as possible. We offer all this information directly in CI, just to allow people act on it without even having to check the platform for now. This is how it looks on CI, just simple output that lets you what issues are known, what issues are fixed, what issues are new. Pretty much, that's it. What about integrations? We have integration with Sentry, where we get errors from, and we quantify and categorize the errors. So we let you know if there are specific issues that you should look into or not. Datadog mainly links to dashboards and also metrics for SLO tracking. Pingdom, just SLO and SLA tracking. GitLab, as we build most of our code in GitLab, we just have a deep integration with it. And GitHub, because we also write open source, so it's nice to include those repositories. So what technology did we use to build this? The main one is Django. The Zoo is just a Django app that has grown to be a pretty big application. Celery for handling tasks, Vue.js for the smart PCs on the front end, Postgres as database, Redis as in-memory database, and Webpack for putting all those stuff together. So here's how it looks, just a couple screenshots. Login page, service list, service details, auditing details, where we list all the issues we found, and auditing overview, where anyone can see the current status on the whole project. And also analytics regarding the evolution of dependencies. What is next in this project? Well, it's called Backstage. What is Backstage? Quoting directly the authors of the tool, is not another tool, but a better toolbox, a one-stop shop for all things infrastructure, and a platform of platforms. TLDR is trying to make and build a hub for developer interactions, so we can limit the context switching and concentrate the knowledge base as much as possible. And it's made by Spotify. So what does this have to do with Zoo? Well, pretty much it's the same concept. When we started building Zoo, we did write integrations and we did add valuable pieces for us, but in the end, we never achieved the same scope that somebody like Spotify has. They just have a much bigger amount of developers. They use so much more services. And in the end, they just took this same concept and brought it to extremes. They have the intention of becoming a standard. This is really nice. And that's one of the main reasons why we are hopping in so early. Right now, the project is in alpha state. It's not the easiest to deal with, but the intention of becoming a standard and basically having everything figured out once that happens for us will bring a lot of value. And we already solved many things. That's the thing. We already have our own backend and our own APIs and our own analysis. We don't really want to waste all that. We are just gonna repurpose our application as just a backend and build the whole front end in Backstage. And as soon as there are more plugins created by the community for different tools like Google Analytics, like GitHub, like I don't know, you name it, we will try to take advantage of them without having to reinvent the wheel every single time. Sounds good. How can you contribute? Well, it's pretty simple. First of all, check our issue list in GitHub. We have labeled the issues that would be easier to contribute to as good for first issue. There is no problem for picking up any other issue. That's totally up to you. But keep in mind that those will require a bigger amount of work. Although I'm totally up for supporting on that. Choose something to work on. There are multiple issues, mainly focused on the Python part, because as I explained, we are not really gonna develop further our own front end. So yeah, just pick up something and let's work on it. And reach us via Discord for help. We have a Discord channel. I will be hanging in there every now and then. I will be able to respond any doubt. And even I will try to organize some pair programming sessions if somebody wants to join. And that's pretty much it. Thanks, everyone. And now, Dimitri.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dmitry, and I used to work at kiwi.com, and now I'm software engineering consultant who is working mostly with Python and Rust. I'm here to present two projects. The first one is Schemathesis. It's an automatic API testing tool for OpenAPI and GraphQL. And let me tell you a joke. QA engineer walks into a bar, orders a beer, orders 0 beers, orders 99 beers, orders a lizard, or orders -1 beer. And then when the first real customer walks in and asks where the bathroom is, everything bursts into flames and everybody is dead. So it's a pretty much common story with testing backends and APIs as such. And this joke illustrates two pain points. The first one is that people test only what they can think of, and then the user is the one who will see your app crashing. And it's a problem. And actually, Schemathesis tries to solve it in some way. Basically, it will test things that QA didn't think of, and you can fix them before your user faces them. It's basically a wrapper around famous hypothesis library that generates test cases and utilize property-based testing for API schemas. So it allows you to do a lot of things in terms of covering edge cases or some unusual inputs. So you can fix them before the user will see it. And another project is PyTest recording. It's a PyTest plugin for testing network requests. And basically it's another wrapper, and now it's around the VCR library. So you can record network requests during your test session, and then you can replay them later in other tests. So what I can expect from contributors so you can contribute without problems. I expect a few years of experience with Python, some kind of familiarity with testing like PyTests, unit test frameworks, the usual stuff, and some knowledge of web APIs. You can contribute on GitHub. There are many issues that are marked with the Hacktoberfest label, and there are a lot of detailed explanations about some features or bugs that we have. And then you can just ping me there or on Discord, and I am there on the Stranger6667 nickname. Also, we have contributing guidelines. You can check them in the repos, and feel free to ask any questions in the issues or in Discord. I will be available there. It's basically it from my side. Thank you.
Hello once again. So Confetti is really tiny, small project. I will not take a lot of your time with it. So let's start with the problem definition. Nowadays, different applications grow. Along with the applications grow their setting files, and they have much more dependencies day by day. With their setting files and dependencies grows execution time, because, for example, your application needs some secrets. For that purpose, you start using Vault. When it means to get these secrets, you need to connect to Vault. You need to wait some time. And settings is really the most used part of the application. You may import the settings for tests, scripts, and pressure the application startup. And if you have slow settings model, it means you slow down whole application and whole communication with it. For that reason, we introduced Confidi project. It's configuration management system, which was inspired by Django, Decouple, and Parse and other projects. The main feature is configurable lazy evaluation, where you use some settings and they are not evaluated before the moment you require them. So it means if you import some settings module to get just debug variable, your vault won't be loaded and you will not waste 10 additional seconds to connect to vault and do other things. You'll just get your README. This repository can work with the popular frameworks as Flask, Django, Savory, and others. It's really easy to set it up. You just define environment variables and import config from your settings, and you can start using it. That's it. Issues for collaboration will be added to the project a bit later on, and there are already some opened ones. We will be glad to see you contributing to this project. Thank you.
Okay, so that was all the presentations that we had for all the projects that we are participating this time in Hacktoberfest. As everyone mentioned, feel free to check the repos of the projects on GitHub, and feel free to ask each of the mentors on Discord. I will put the link also so you can find it easily. And I'm really looking forward to the contributions that we will have for Hacktoberfest. Because as we mentioned, it will be during the whole month. And the last event, it will be on October 13th. That will be kind of a wrap up how the whole month went for us, how many people contributed. And we will give the hoodies to the 3 most active people. So that's it from my side. So bye-bye all, and see you in the next event.